Hello YouTube, and in this video I want to talk about extending grace to people around us. I was talking to my neighbor not long ago and he shared with me who he's voting for, and then I shared with him who I'm voting for president here in this next coming election in the next 8 days. And it's two different people. So we're on two different sides and ways of thinking. And I noticed that with my neighbor when talking to him before, how we differ in our views and outlook of life. And what I also found that during this election year, getting caught up in a lot of the division that's going on. And we're divided more so than ever before in regards to politics, vaccines, and everything else. And you have your viewpoints on things, and I have my viewpoints on things. You get your information from one place, I get it from another. I try to do the best I can, get different information, cross-reference, think for myself, use some critical thinking skills, and try to come up with my own conclusions and determine what my viewpoint is. And that's how it determined how I am going to vote this year. So my neighbor's voting one way, I'm voting another. And we're still on good terms, still friendly, still neighborly. But some neighbors aren't. And with the divide, we've had families split apart, relationships ending. We even have marriages ending in divorce because one of the spouses differ politically. That's going on. And after my neighbor told me about how he was going to vote this year, I found myself critical, thinking, oh, how could he vote that way? How does he think that way? Where is he coming up with that stuff? And so I remembered something that I had heard years ago. When I left the military, I was applying for different jobs, and I thought maybe I might get involved in some type of managerial leadership type of a job. So I was brushing up on leadership information. I was reading different books about leadership, different leadership styles, and was going online and finding videos about it. And this video I'm going to show you is from, it's put on by Biola University, and it's Ken and Margie Blanchard. And I read one of Ken's books called The 1 Minute Manager. And that's what led me to some online resources. And then I learned that him and his wife work together and have a consulting leadership business where they go and they speak. They do motivational speaking and that kind of thing. And so the clip I'm going to show you, Ken spoke first. Now Marjorie is going to speak. And she's going to share a story as she's explaining to the class about leadership point of view, being more transparent to help you influence the people that you're leading so that people can understand where you're coming from, so there's no guessing. And I remember even in my military background how I just automatically assumed people would do something and how often I was wrong, where I should have made my views clearer, letting them know what my expectations were and not assuming. I digress. But she's giving her a story, and I'll start the clip where she tells the story and she comes up with 3 things that she learned out of that. So she's telling the story about how her mother had children every 5 years, and she had a child when she was in college, and people assumed that the baby was her baby. And so there was this rumor that started. So she's telling her story on how that happened and what she learned out of it. And so, yes, this applies to leadership. It's a leadership training. I'll post the link in the description, and it starts at the 20-minute mark if you care to go and listen to the rest of the video. But I think it can apply not only for leaders, but it can apply to us as well in just dealing with people. And so I'm going to play it, and then I'll talk about it and how it can apply to what's going on in our political scene and dealing with people with different viewpoints.
We teach this course, and Margie really manages the whole process of helping people get in touch with their leadership point of view.
One of the things that I've noticed in working with universities, and we were in the university for several years, is that it's hard for universities sometimes to actually recommend that you do one thing or another. They like to give you the whole, all the different leadership theories and let you pick one. But we definitely, after growing our company and being out with so many clients, we have a few very strong recommendations. And one of them is this idea of figuring out enough about yourself that you can share it with people whom you're trying to influence, which is our definition of leadership. And some magical things happen, first of all, in the process of figuring yourself out enough to use language. I was speaking to a group of women earlier, and life is lived in language. And if you are smart enough or take the time to figure out what are the important things that have happened to you and what were the learnings that came out of them that you'd like to share, and then what are the expectations you have as a result of those learnings that people should have of you, and what are expectations that you have of them. And if you can put that out there, we'd save a lot of time in this country, because people are always boss watching. They're always trying to figure out what does that boss want. But if you could preempt that and do that thinking and doing that sharing, not only would it be very good for you, but it would be very good for the people who work with you. I loved listening to Colleen Barrett. We've gotten to know her pretty well because Ken wrote a book with her about Southwest Airlines. And one of the things that she says is that people admire you for your accomplishments, but they love you for your vulnerabilities. And that is such an interesting thing to think about, is how do you let people know enough about yourself so that they see underneath the boss? So let me have you imagine that I'm giving you my leadership point of view, okay? So I might start it out, and I might say, we've all been meeting here every week, and I'd like to do something a little bit different today. I'd like to sort of back up and tell you a little bit about me and my beliefs and sort of where they came from and some of the things that are important to me. And so one of the things you probably need to know is that I'm the oldest child of a family of 5. I was born in Rochester, New York, and a very close family. We moved a lot. And something happened to me early on in my career that was pretty meaningful and taught me a lot of lessons. My mom had a baby every 5 years. My youngest brother was born when I was a freshman in college. But one of my mother's points of pride was waiting as long as possible before she told people that she was pregnant. So she was pregnant when I was a senior. And that was the year that people wore chemise dresses. I don't know if you remember what they were, but they were perfectly, flat, plenty of room. So I went along with Mother, and I didn't tell anybody that Mother was pregnant because that was her point of pride. She got through my whole graduation in these chemise dresses. We went off to our summer cottage, came home, I scurried around. Most of my friends had left for college, got ready to go to Cornell, and went off to college. And my brother Tom, first boy, 4 girls, was born on November 1st. We were so excited. So I come home for Thanksgiving, and first time I see Tom and everything, and the very first night we sit down to dinner, my sister tells me that there's a rumor going around that Tom is my baby. Because that's what happened back then. You know, there was no birth control, there was nothing. People, if they did get pregnant, they would run off and I guess have their babies, and then the parents would raise the baby as their own. And well, I'm telling you, I was astounded. I mean, I guess that's the only thing I could say. I don't even think I was crushed. I was astounded, absolutely astounded, that people didn't know me well enough to know that that probably wouldn't happen. I was having a wonderful time at Cornell, and I had kind of moved on. But I learned a tremendous series of lessons out of that. And the first lesson I learned was, you know, the juicier the gossip, the more suspect it is. And that has served me over many years. And I actually believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt. And that actually is a belief that I have. And so as my team, that's something that you'll probably see of me. The second thing I learned was that if you don't tell people what's happening to you, and something surprising happens, people will make it up. And that's exactly what happened. People made it up. And what that has caused me to want to do as a leader is to be as transparent as I can be, to let you know as much as I know about things. It's probably why I'm so interested in this area of leadership point of view, because it's a way of sort of preempting and kind of getting what I believe out ahead of maybe what you're going to make it up. And the third thing, and this took a little bit of time, is that I thought back over that whole thing, and I thought about how could that have happened? You know, people who were spreading the rumors, and there is a little postscript to this, but I really realized that they were doing the best they could, those people, even the ones who were spreading the rumors, given their level of awareness. And I do believe that people are always doing the best they can at all times, given their current level of awareness. And that is extending grace. It's extending grace to them, but I also believe I'm doing the best I can at all times, given my level of awareness. If I get smarter, maybe I'll do better. But I don't wake up in the morning, nor do I think you do, thinking, how can I screw up today? And so, those are 3 things you need to know about me. Now,
What did you think of that clip? I thought it was pretty good on how she came up with the 3 points on the juicier the gossip, the more suspect a story is. And the other one was, you don't share with people what's going on with you, and if something happens, people will make stuff up about you. They'll just make it up. And that's happened to me before, where something happened and I got accused of doing something that it was not true. People make stuff up. Rumor mill starts. I'm sure that's happened to some of you out there. But the last piece that I want to pull from that clip, that I want to apply to all of us as we move forward, no matter who gets elected, we're still going to have this divide in this country. Some people are saying that we may even see a civil war I hope not, but I tell you, it's not looking good as we just become more divided in this country on so many fronts. It's just ugly. We're not united. And some will say, well, Jim, we've never been united anyway. Perhaps so. But I can tell you with a lot of certainty, I don't think we're the United States of America. We're more like the divided states of America, more so today. But anyway, her last point, I hope you caught it. She says, people are doing the best they can at all times, given their level of awareness. And so that's what I had. It came to mind as I was dealing with my neighbor, being critical of him and others as they talk about different topics and the way they're planning to vote, and how I want to be critical of them. And I had to back up a minute. Jim, people don't wake up thinking they're going to screw up today. Remember what Margie Blanchard said years ago. People are doing the best they can at all times, given their level of awareness. People are where they are. They know what they know. Their level of awareness, due to whatever circumstances at that time, that's what they know. And perhaps they are doing the best they can. They're voting the way they see it, the best way that they see it. I have to remind myself of that. Perhaps it's something that you can remind yourself. And she says, by doing that, what are we doing? She said, we're extending grace to them. Extending grace to them. And so that's the message I want to share. Extending grace to our family, to our friends, to our neighbors, no matter what the topic is, and try to understand things from their point of view. I like to think that I'm doing the best that I can with my level of awareness. As I take information, people share things with me, things that I discover and learn and read about and see online, and different videos that I come across. And boy, and I'm so glad that I've come across new information that has now changed my level of awareness. And of years recent, my whole worldview has been completely changed. Things that I used to believe, I no longer believe. Now I know what the truth is. And unfortunately, a lot of things that we've been taught have been an absolute lie. We've been lied to, folks. We have. As you do some more digging and research about things, you'll realize, nope, that's a lie. That is not the case. And things that we assumed about people and organizations, we find out after further digging and research, we find out that's not true. And we're starting to learn more and more each and every day how things really operate, who's really in charge, who's really in control, who's really pulling the strings. And some would say, Jim, you voting is a waste of time. There are other people who are deciding who gets elected and who doesn't. They may be right, but I still do it anyway. So that's what I wanted to share. Extending grace to people, trying to understand. Let's not get too heated. If your neighbor wants to vote a certain way, let them go. And still be neighborly. Still be friends with people. Still keep relationships in families. So you have an uncle that's voting a certain way. So you have a sister that's got a different viewpoint. So your cousin has a different mindset than you do. And you may think that they're absolute crazy or nuts. Try to have some more understanding. And remind ourselves, at all times, people are doing the best they can, given their level of awareness. And that's what I wanted to share today. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one. Be safe.